Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. You are tuned in to the American Cream Show. Cream is a financial educational show where we teach you, show you, guide you, and lead you on ways to redefine the American dream on your terms with Cream. And Cream stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. I'm your host, Hyacinth Henderson, and to my left, I got my main man, Tavares. How you feeling today, T?
Hey, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I'm excited. It's another day, another opportunity, and we're back to bless the people with this information. I wouldn't even say information, but just have a conversation.
It's just
a dope conversation where you can learn something from, or you can, say, I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Also to, I guess, expose ourselves a little bit. Not expose in a bad way, but just to open ourselves up, because sometimes people see us as, I guess, financial professionals, and when you say professional, they think polished. You know what I'm saying? Like you've kind of been at this place all your life, and sometimes people feel like, well, that person can't relate to me, know, because I may be going through this circumstance that person don't know nothing about, So, just to have a dope conversation, dope conversation. As Heisey mentioned, I'm Tavares Jones, licensed stockbroker, licensed life insurance, and annuity broker as well.
Okay.
How you feeling today?
I feel good. So I want to let you all in on a little secret. Today's actually Friday, right? By the time you hear this and see this recording, it will be Saturday. As you may have remembered, or if you didn't know, for the next 6 weeks, I will be taking a business course, a Harvard business course. So I won't be available live on Saturdays, but we will pre-record these shows and you'll still get the good American Cream information. So it's Friday. It's a fantastic Friday. I'm feeling feisty, festive, futuristic. What other F word can I say? I think that's
fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. But I'm feeling good. So today let's talk about lessons and blessings, because I think that most of the time we go through stuff and it'll be a lesson and we don't really realize that it's really a blessing.
Give them some more on that.
Okay,
because we was talking before, and you had something real nice cooked up.
I don't know that it just drops in and drops out. Okay, so let me see if I can come on, bring it back to me. Okay, so lessons and blessings. I think that a lot of times we have such a desire to be directed in a certain place in our life, right? Or to get to a certain destination. We have such a desire to get to a certain destination that we don't realize that our desired destination oftentimes, many times, sometimes is different from our destiny. So where we're determined to be and where we're destined to be are can be two completely different things. Okay. And so what do I mean by that? So let's think about relationships. I think everybody can think about relationships, whether they're business relationships, romantic relationships, familial relationships, platonic, best friends, whatever the case may be. When you think about relationships, most people think this forever. This is forever. Like, these my friends, I'm gonna have them forever. I'm gonna work at this job forever. This is gonna be my man forever, my woman, my sugar daddy. It is gonna be forever, and I'm determined in that moment to make this relationship a forever thing, right? And so when we go into it with the mindset that this is forever and we're determined to make it a forever thing, then we move a certain way. And when we move a certain way, we don't necessarily leave ourselves open for destiny to come in and take place. And so since we're not thinking about destiny, we're only thinking about our determination. When shifts happen, if you're not in tune, it can feel like the rug has been snatched from under you. Like, I'm just standing here. I've been so determined to be in this relationship, be with this employer, be with this boo thing, whatever the case may be, forever. And now this has changed.
Like a victim almost.
Exactly.
Like a victim to circumstance.
Exactly. And if you stay in that space, you won't realize, wait a minute, although I may have been determined to be there, there was a higher power, higher calling, some stuff that I didn't even see, and I was destined to be here. But when you stand in that victim mindset and stand in that victim mindset instead of having the mindset of a victor, right? So years ago, I told my children, I remember I wrote it, y'all know I'm a fan of these big, giant sticky notes. This has to have been like 5 years ago. I wrote for my children to see every time they walk into my bedroom. It was next to my bedroom door. Because although everybody got their own room, for some reason, even now to this day, they always in my room. So it was right next to my bedroom door. And I wrote out from victim to victor. What do I need to do to shift? Not why is this happening to me? Why is this happening for me? Questions to ask. What is this teaching me? So it was one of those big sticky notes. And I wrote, and I would just add things to it. And the thing was, especially when I first put it up, every time you walk into my door, you got to stop and read that. Every time you get ready to cross this threshold, let's stop and read this, because nobody taught me that as a kid.
It's like what it reminded me of as a football locker room or a basketball locker room. You know, coaches have like a tradition. It'll be like a sign or something above the door that you walk out of when you headed to the field, right? And it'll probably be like a sign that probably read victory or teamwork or some type of word to reshape your mindset to get you ready for what you're about to step into.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Which is the field. So I think that's super dope. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that's super, super, super dope for you to have that big jumbo sign up there and as a constant reminder, and that you are using that and you're exposing your children to that at an early age, you know, because a lot of times, you know, we didn't have that growing up. And a lot of times when people have kids, they kind of raise their kids exactly how they came up. And you got to ask yourself, I don't have any kids, so I'm not a kid specialist, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to put that out there. But when I do have a child, I definitely want to tweak here and there on that upbringing process, because, you know, everything that I was exposed to, everything that I received, it probably wasn't good for me, though I'm thankful for it because it made me who I am today. But that don't mean that they gonna be able to, my kids are gonna be able to digest it and receive it the same way I did, you know? So yeah, that's super dope.
Thank you.
That's a great mommy skill.
Thank you. And that's really, for me, that's one of the things that's important to me as a parent, is to teach them to reshape their mindset and to teach them how to think. Yeah,
that's important. Big. Because a lot of people try to teach you what to think. You know what I'm saying? But that's not. If you teach somebody what to think, you're giving them how you feel. You're giving them your thoughts. You kind of like pushing something on them. But if you teach somebody how to think, you really empowering them, because you're showing them how to fish. You're like, hold on, because when you're not there, when you're not around that person, because you're not gonna be with them 24 hours, 7 days a week. They're already equipped and know how to think. You know what I'm saying? They know, okay, what to look for, how to answer, how to respond to certain things. You know what I'm saying? They know what to do if you teach them how to think.
That's my key. You said it. Yeah, I want you to, when I'm not there, and I say that to them all the time, I'm not always going to be here. I'm not always going to be here. I know in a perfect world I am. We're going to go everywhere together, but that's just not, you know, the reality of the situation. And you need to be able to function in spaces without me. And so when you think about that, and we think about the example we started talking about, where we are determined to be versus where we are destined to be, you have to leave room to say, okay, I'm not the victim in this situation. I could have been determined to be with this person for the rest of my life. And although it may hurt, although it may sting, if I shift that mindset from victim to victor, then I open myself up to learn some stuff. And when you open yourself up to learn and continue and to keep going, then you open yourself up to get to your destiny, to reach your destiny.
Sound like a blessing to me. That right there is so aligned with the conversation for today.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Super dope.
You see how that just kind of unfolds?
Yeah, it just because we're going to speak about lessons and blessings, and you talking about destiny and what's it? Determination. Determine and destiny. The difference between the two.
And so make no mistake, you got to have determination, but you also have to be open.
Yeah.
Right? Because what I am not saying is for you to sit back and be like, oh my God, destiny is going to just take its course. Let destiny run its course, and it's all going to happen. You have to be open, a little bit of both, right? So you have to be determined, but yet open. So not so determined that you're closed-minded and closed off to shifting and going a different route.
There you go.
So destiny and determination, and then really lessons and blessings. So we want to say, Savara said, we are professionals, but we ain't always been professionals. And clearly y'all can tell by me just saying we ain't always been professionals. We ain't always professionals. Okay. Yeah. So we have a story. We have a story, and you have stories as well. And so So what we wanted to do today on today's American Cream Show is just to bring to you a story or two. Each of us is going to share a lesson that actually turned out to be a blessing. And the thing with lessons turned blessings is when you're going through it, most of the times you don't realize that you're actually growing through it.
Yeah.
If you remain open, remember I said that a minute ago, but if you stay open and allow things to unfold, you won't have to be being dragged and mollywop through life, right? You'll be like, I'm not being dragged anymore. I'm floating. I want to grow through this process. Sure, I may not have seen it coming, but I know that it's going to take me to better. And once you start believing that and affirming that, then you'll start to say, okay, I'm open. All right, so lessons and blessings. T, you want to open us up with the lesson you want to share for us?
Yeah, so the first lesson I have, right, it takes me back to my childhood.
Okay.
You got to go back to the beginning,
That's
right?
right.
So growing up, I was really good in football, right? And I wanted to play for this particular park.
Okay.
Gwen Cherry Park.
Okay.
Right? Gwen Cherry Park, it still exists today. But back when I played, the park was surrounded by projects, right? So it was a park in the middle of the Scott Projects. And that's what all the talent was. I mean, these kids were so good. Now, the year before I played for Gwen Cherry, I played for another park that was closer to my house, right? And we played Gwen Cherry our first game, and they demolished us. Oh, my God. They killed us. I mean, I was the star of that team before I went to Gwen Cherry, and I'm used to scoring touchdowns and, doing my thing on the field. They shut me down completely.
Oh, wow.
And right after the game, I told my dad, I said, Dad, I want to play for them next year. Don't bring me out here. Don't bring me out here again. You're going to waste your money. Take me out there. Right. And my dad's eyes just got real big. He was like, do you understand? He was like, I don't think you understand, where those kids come from and, what they used to. And if you go, I'll take you over there if you want to go, but you got to be ready for it. You ain't going to waste my money and you're not quitting. Right. So as a kid, I didn't understand what he was saying. Right. But the first day of practice, the next year, one year from there, first day of practice, oh my God! As soon as we pulled up to the area, I noticed exactly what he was saying. It was completely different, but super talented. Right?
How was it different?
The environment.
Okay.
The environment. It was a lot more sirens. You hear a lot. It's a lot of activity going on. Okay. A lot of people doing what they got to do to get where they trying to go. You understand what I'm saying? Like a lot of you got shots, gunshots, you got fights, you got all kind of stuff. You got loud music where people just having a good time. And there was a lot of love over there too. I'm not gonna lie, definitely a lot of love. And you got the candy ladies, you got the ice cream trucks, all of that good stuff.
Yes.
Hot sausages, pickled legs, all those childhood snacks. You know what I'm saying? And being in that environment, I saw a rap song. I saw a rap song every day. So in it, if you listen to Jeezy or T.I., early Lil Wayne and stuff like that, or I'm gonna just call it trap music, where they speak about the buying and selling of drugs, right? That right there, that environment was a visual rap song where you saw the hand-to-hand transactions. You saw dope boys come in the neighborhood in the nice cars with the rims, whether it be a classic car with the big rims, the Miami style, or they may have the nice foreign cars. You may see a 22-year-old. I never forget, I saw a 22-year-old dude in the 7 Series Beamer. Oh my God, that was my ultimate destination. I was like, man, I got to get there. You see the big jewelry, you see the fancy clothes and all that stuff. And oftentimes there were some kids made it out of the projects, right, to become athletes, and they would come back to the community and they would, have, turkey drives and book bag drives and just different types of giving back to the community, right? So you would see, the dope boys with the money, or you would see the athletes that made it out of the hood that come back, you'll see them with the money. And then, while you driving to practice every day, you listening to rap music and you hear how the rappers are so, quote unquote, they getting money, you know what I'm saying? They making all this money and they financially successful. So it's kind of like you're being programmed because you're seeing it and then you're listening to it every day. Seeing it, you're seeing, mischievous, you're seeing, hustle, you're seeing grind, you're seeing the ball players, you're seeing the hustlers, you're listening to the rappers. So then as a young black man coming out of the hood, you start to think, right? That this is my only way out of this urban community.
Because that's what you see.
Yeah, that's what you see. That's what you listen to. So you hear the music, you seeing all these visuals, and you're like, man, this is my only way out. So I got to pick one. And early on in life, I picked one. I went with sports. You know, I was pretty good at the time, and that was my thing. So I went with the sports, and you know, we won championships after championship after championship, really good. And my performance on the field, it actually caught the eyes of a private school that was, you know, building their football team, right? And they offered me a scholarship to go to the private school. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Went, took a tour of the school, really nice facility. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I signed the papers, we went. First day of school. Now, a complete life-changing moment, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm used to the hood mentality, right? Get to school. And it was then when I realized that, of course, after I started meeting people, having conversations with classmates and stuff like that, I noticed how different their families made money, you know.
But wait a minute, let's go back. So when you first say when you got to the school, it was completely different.
Yeah, completely
What was
different.
the indicator? What told you that it was different? Was the air different? Like what was one of the things? I know it was a lot of differences, but what was one of the things that stands out that was different?
Good question. So the student parking lot was the first thing you see.
Okay.
In the student parking lot, oh my God, you got heavy foreigns, you got BMWs, you got Benzes, you got Hummers at the time.
Wow.
You got G-Wagons at the time. And this is like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? You got, you know, Chargers, brand new Chargers. And the student parking lot outweighed completely the administrative parking lot. So the principals, the teachers, they couldn't touch. They was driving Priuses and Accords and all that good stuff, you know. Nothing wrong with those, but I mean, I had never saw a student parking lot like that. I have never saw a parking lot like that in my life, let alone a student parking lot. So that was the first indicator. Second indicator was they had a chef that made the food every day. So I'm used to public school lunch. You know what I'm saying? We all know what public school lunch is about.
Right.
You know, that cheese
Ain't
that
no
don't
chef
melt.
back there.
Yeah, you know, chef back there, you know. And so that having a chef every day and, you know, having that meal prepared every day. And I mean, they put a lot into the food. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. That's actually one of the things that reeled me in, that parking lot and that.
Oh my goodness.
And that food.
So you was kicking and screaming before, but when you saw the parking lot and the food.
Yeah, I was like, you know what, this might be an option. You know, this might work. Let's try it out.
Okay.
So so yeah, got to school, meeting these new people, having conversation with the people. Now, I seen, you know, the parking lot. So when I get into class, I'm like, hey man, so, you know, what kind of drugs your daddy sell? You know, what did your parents do? You know, what type of crime y'all doing to live this lifestyle? And they would laugh. They thought it was a joke, but because we're coming from two different standpoints, we're coming from two different ways of life, right?
So based on what you saw, and you made the connection that when people had foreign cars or nice nice things, they had to either be doing illegal activity. Or an athlete.
Or rapping.
Those three things.
Right.
And so you come here to this different environment. They have the foreign cars, the chefs and everything. And so you're like, okay, well, what kind of drugs your daddy sell?
Yeah.
And because that's what you knew.
Yeah.
And what did I guess that's the only assumption that you can make because that was the experience that you had seen.
That was the programming that I had went through for, 14 years of my life. So that's what I'm thinking, you know. And when those children would say, or when my classmates would say, no, man, no drugs. My dad owns an insurance company, or my dad owns a real estate company, or we have this business, or my dad owns a pizza restaurant, you know, and the pizza restaurant, he makes about $3 million a year. I'm like, what? Pizza restaurant?
Pizza?
I eat Domino's every Friday. So it was then when I realized that I didn't have to get banged up on the field because I'm a small body, you know, I'm a smaller guy, especially when I got to high school. I was, weighing 140 pounds or something like that, and I'm playing against guys that's 300 plus, 350 pounds. So I'm getting banged all up, I'm getting concussions, and I get out there to just, show and prove that I'm tough because I'm a smaller guy. Though I was quick and fast, I didn't have the size. So, getting banged up, that was a part of it. So I was like, man, I don't have to get banged up no more. I don't have to risk going to prison or losing my life from, hustling on the corner, or I definitely can't rap. That's not a skill of mine. So I don't have to go out here and try to, learn how to be Jay-Z or nothing like that. I can use my brain and really have a successful, live a life like you living. Oh man, count me in. It was then I instantly fell out of love with football. I'm talking about like this. Now, my dad was really hoping and pushing me to, stay on the field and stay focused and, to keep hope alive when it came to sports. But I'm like, man, listen, I'm out here on this field and I'm out here in this sun every day. You not. You know what I'm saying? I'm still going to create a way for us, but I'm just going to do it another way. And that was when I learned that I had an awakening. You know what I'm saying? That you don't have to. I realized that it was so small thinking of myself to only think that you can only make money these 3 ways, or you can have a good life these 3 ways. And I was like, wow, I was so thankful for that private school opportunity at the time. However, you asked me a question. You asked me a question earlier. You asked me,
when did you realize? How did you make this connection? So as you're going through this, because I can imagine you went through some sort of shell shock. Right. So after you definitely went through shell shock when you saw the parking lot and the chef and things like that. Did that make it easier? Were you just like, okay, yes, I'm over here living the good life now? Or did you yearn to go back to, the other environment that you were used to?
No, I definitely was trying to get back to my comfort zone. Okay. I definitely wanted to go back to the hood. I definitely wanted to go back to the urban community. I was actually trying out for other schools and everything. I wasn't supposed to be doing that, but I was like, hey, man, I'm trying to get out of here. I don't know what these people got going on over here, but I'm trying to get back to home,
Back to what I know, what I'm used to and comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. And my parents, they wasn't with that. They were like, nah, you're going to stay right here. This is good for you. And another thing was clothes. Right, so in the urban community, oh my God, it's all about getting fresh, spending money on clothes, shoes, being fly and all that good stuff. And I indulged in that completely. I know my parents, that's one thing that they would say about me. I costed them a lot of money growing up. However, I was worth it. Look how it turned out,
Good investment,
look
right?
How it turned out. And going to the private school, ain't none of that. Ain't none of that. We had to wear Skechers, right? Skechers with the sole, it was about this thick.
Oh, wow.
We had to wear uniform shoes, and they was Skechers. Now, where I'm from, if you was wearing Skechers, you were lame, and they laughing at you. You're gonna be the butt of the joke all day, every day. So for me to come from wearing Jordans and fly Nikes to come to wear to go to wearing Skechers, I'm like, oh no, you got to be out your mind.
So wait a minute now. In the hood, Skechers were seen as lame.
Completely.
But in the rich neighborhood or wealthy environment,
yes.
Oh, give us these Skechers so we can learn.
Yes, give us the Skechers so we can learn.
You can focus.
Yeah, yeah. And we had to wear uniform. You pick your white shirt, red shirt, or a blue shirt. Tuck your shirt in too, young man. And we couldn't have any facial hair at all. So it was really strict. However, it was beneficial at the same time.
Okay. Did you feel during that time? Did you feel it was beneficial?
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. I felt like it was prison at the time. I felt like I'm like, what am I? And to go to a private school, like we had to like buy books and stuff like that. So though I was on a scholarship, my tuition was like massively reduced, but I still had to come out of pocket, with tuition. But it was a real small amount. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm paying y'all, and y'all telling me I got to follow y'all rules.
You telling me what to wear?
Yeah, if I'm paying y'all, I should be telling y'all what to do. Because when the lawn man come cut my grass, I'm paying him, and I tell him, how I want the yard. I'm like, this don't make no sense to me. Y'all my boss, and I'm paying y'all to be my boss. It's
not adding up.
It wasn't a connection. So yeah, It was definitely a lot of pushback at the time. Okay. A whole lot of pushback. I was trying to get out of there. Every day I got home, I was telling my parents, hey, man, I'm trying to get out of here. Hey, man, I can't be there. Like, why y'all put me in that school? And they was like, well, you wanted to go. You wanted to play. Because I was only looking at the football aspect, and I was looking at the student parking lot and the food, just really small-minded, I would say. The small things reeled me in, and I was trying to get out, but my parents made me stay. So
did your outlook while being there, did that change your freshman year, sophomore year, junior year? Did you finally say, okay, I'm here, I'm going to make the best of it, I'm going to embrace? Or did you go the whole 4 years saying, get me out of here?
I graduated with the mentality of get me out of here. When we went through our graduation, you know how you do the the rehearsal for graduation? Man, I was like, why am I here, man? I'm not even coming to the graduation. You can give me my paper right now. I won't even come. Like I'm talking about all 4 years. I was wow. Get me out of here. I don't even know why I'm here. These people are weird. These people are different from me. Get me back to where I'm going. Where I come from.
Kicking and screaming.
Oh man, completely. It wasn't until like 5 years after I graduated, when I realized everything that I'm telling you now, like, oh my God, I had an enlightening moment to where this is where I realized that I don't have to, go down one of these 3 paths to make money. I don't have to, sell drugs. I don't have to rap. I don't have to, be an athlete. I can use my brain. And it also, another thing that it brought to my attention was, so you have the making of the money, you have the appearance, and then also when I realized that I can use my brain to make money, as a kid, always rode bikes as a kid, right? I used to love, click up with my friends and ride bikes, and none of us never wore any helmets riding bikes.
Okay.
That was the cool thing to do. Yeah. It's not the cool.
I don't even think our parents bought us a helmet.
Right. It's like we're not wearing that. You know what I'm saying? It was another thing. It was another lame thing to do. In the black community. So nowadays, I cycle. I ride my bike. And the first thing I bought was a helmet, right? Because now I realized that my brain is my ultimate asset. You know what I'm saying? My brain is what I'm going to use to make money, provide for myself, provide, a beautiful lifestyle for me. So I'm going to protect this at all costs. So now you can call me lame all you want. And when I ride through the hood, hey, man, I'm smiling with my helmet on. I'm giving them thumbs up and everything. Because now I realize, you know what I'm saying? I was exposed to something different, a new way of thinking. And that new way of thinking, it makes sense to me, and it identifies for what I'm doing right now and what I plan to continue to do.
I love that.
So you kind of got to do what fits for you instead of doing what looks cool to everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So it sounds like your lesson turned into a blessing, but at what point did that happen?
That was like 5 years.
You did say 5 years. So how? What prompted that? Because 5 years after high school. Now you 4 years in it and you like, get me out of here.
Yeah, it was a whole lot. So
okay.
I had some friends that got involved in, drugs or whatever the case may be. And, 5 years after high school, 5 years after graduation is when they ran into a situation. They came to a demise or whatnot. They were, indicted on federal drug charges. And that was like, okay, I was forced to think, forced because, my friends were they had to went away. There was no partying, pretty much nobody really to speak to and have conversations with. So I was forced to go into the state of solitude, and when you by yourself, you kind of got to reflect and think a whole lot, like, okay, so how did I get here? And where did this come from? Why do I think the way I think now? And how did I think before this thought process came? And, as I went down that rabbit hole of just asking myself questions, I was so happy and so proud. I actually called my dad to thank him for, hey, man, thank you for making me stay at that private school. Even though I begged you and pleaded you to get me out of there, I appreciated it. And he was like, yeah, I knew, son. My dad, he always going to tell you, yeah, I knew it. I knew you would. You know how parents do.
Oh, your dad's a Leo too, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I knew you would. I knew you would. Yeah, I knew what I was doing. You the son. I'm the parent.
Right. He's stating facts.
Yeah.
Those are the facts.
Definitely. So I called him and I appreciated him for staying on me and being strict and not allowing me to make my own decisions off of an emotional, a temporary feeling, and yeah.
Wow, but that's a heck of a story. So many jewels, so much information in there that our audience can take from. And I hope that you all out there listening are really picking up what Tavares is putting down, because that's really what it's about in life. Sometimes we're going through things. Oftentimes we're going through things and don't realize that we're growing through things. And so as we're going through it, we're kicking and screaming. I want what I'm comfortable. I want what looks good on the outside. I don't want to wear these lame shoes. I want to be in this environment where people are wearing their money, and not realizing that wherever you are currently is positioning you and teaching you the lessons that you need to learn for the future that'll turn into blessings. So I love that. I think that's so important that we connect the dots, because people come to us all the time. And by the time you come to the Henderson Financial Group, first of all, I'm so proud of you for making the decision to get your financial house in order. Either you're getting your financial house in order, or you're reviewing your financial house, or you're taking your financial affairs to the next level. So when I talk to people, sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, I know this is bad. I'm XYZ years old and I shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I have to remind you when I speak to you at that time that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Every experience that you went to before you got on the phone with me taught you a lesson. Now it's up to you now to hone in on those lessons like Tavares did. He said, wait a minute. Let me look back and see how I got here. How did I get here and my friends in jail? Yeah. What happened? And so it's up to you now to look at where you are financially and say, wait a minute. Let me see how I got here. What did I do to get here? Let me review this. Let me dissect this. Let me get the lesson so that I can then turn it into a blessing. And so that turning into a blessing means I'm linking up with the financial professional. And the financial professionals, I'm going to be transparent with them. I'm going to tell them what my past is, because sink over, right? In order for you to go forward, you got to go back. You got to return and get it. I'm going to tell them what my past is. I'm going to tell them all my experiences so that we can break down how we got here and then build up how we're going to get there. So the lessons and blessings connection is so important. One of the ones that I want to share is probably me having my daughter at a young age, right? So my daughter is 20. She's 20. She'll be 21 this year. And so I'm 39. I will be 40 this year. So am I 39? I had to think about that.
You know that. You know you're 39.
Am I 39? I feel like I'm 25, right? So I had her at 19. So I had her at 19. And last year when she celebrated her 19th, when we celebrated, I call it our birthday, right? Because I was reborn again when I had her. When we celebrated our 19th birthday, she said, Mommy, I broke the cycle. I broke the cycle. And I said, what? She said, yeah, I broke the cycle. I didn't have a baby at 19. I said, you're right, baby. You're right. And so that makes me, I'm so proud of her. And we had this conversation. We consistently have conversations about, breaking cycles and things like that. So my lesson is, I didn't accidentally get pregnant with Kyla. I was intentional about getting pregnant, and it was because of my environment, really, if I think about it. So I remember being in high school, and I had a good friend of mine. We met at church. She and I met at church. She didn't even go to high school with me. She was 2 years older than me, but she had a baby early. And she had a baby. And here I was in high school, and I was a godmother. And she made me her baby's godmother. And so by this time I was in 11th grade, maybe 12th grade. And then when I got out of high school, I think she had him maybe 12th grade or so. By the time I got out of high school and I was working at PRC, I would get paid on Thursdays, and on Fridays I would go pick my godson up, and we would go to the mall. I would buy him all the Tommy Hilfiger, all the Jordans. I mean, he's a toddler. He was like 1-2 years old. I would buy him all the Tommy, the Jordans. I would buy him gold chains, all this stuff.
He was a good godmother.
I was a good goddie. Okay, I was a good goddie. We would go eat. So I would do that every week, hanging out.
My parents should have found you.
Right.
Should have found you when I was a kid.
Right. And so as I look back, my parents knew, and they didn't say, what you do? I think when I told my dad, he said something like, you somebody godmama? Instead of, and I know Robert, he's big on, I'm going to let you do what you're going to do. Right. But instead of really sitting down and having a conversation with me about what that means. Right. Because I thought it meant picking him up every week and spending all my money. And so seeing that, and I had a lot of freedom. Right. So on the weekends we were hanging out, then I would drive her car, and I was just doing all kind of stuff I wanted to do. Thank God I was not breaking the law. I wasn't doing any drugs or anything like that. But I had a lot of freedom. And so me seeing that and seeing how much freedom she had, and me playing grown up, because although I was 19, 18 probably at that time, maybe younger than that, because this was before I even got pregnant and had my child. So I probably was like 17, 18. I was playing grown up, but I wasn't grown. And so being in that environment, I was like, well, let me have my own baby. Let me have my own baby. And so I was like, okay. And I was dating, and my daughter's father had 2 children already. I ain't do the math. I ain't think about that. I wasn't thinking about that. I was like, let me have me some kids. So I intentionally got pregnant. And I intentionally got pregnant, and I had her. And when I intentionally got pregnant, that's when I realized that having a baby full time.
Yeah, it's different from a godmama status, right? Godmama, you can pick up when you want, drop off when you want. But when it's yours, it's yours. It's yours.
It's yours. It's yours. It's she mine, and I gotta pay. And I gotta pay. So now my money is now our money. And before I could really dictate what I wanted to do with my money, because I was also going out buying purses every week, I had to think about what we were gonna do with our money. Oh my gosh. And here's the thing. I don't want y'all to think my parents was like, okay, this our baby and we're going to support you. No, ma'am, no Pam, no ham. No way. They did not. That was not my testimony. So I literally had to go through and grow through supporting my child, figuring out back in the day we had Florida Kid Care. I don't even know if that's still a thing. That was like Medicaid for children. So I had to go through the Florida Kid Care system. I had to go through the WIC. I remember sitting in the WIC office. Do you know what WIC is?
Yeah.
WIC, where you get the
children, right?
Women, infants, and I think maybe, but they give you cheese and milk and stuff like that. And I remember being in these environments, and I was just like, "What is this?" But I had to grow through that process and get it together. And I had to get it together really quickly because by the time my daughter was ready to go to school, I would say 3K, I put her in private school. And when I put her in private school, I remember, and when I share anything about my past, I want you to know I have no resentment, no enemies, no hate. I am great friends with my exes, my ex-husband, my child's father. We are great friends. So don't be watching this and be like, how is he talking about y'all on the show? Like, nah, that's not how this works. Like, I'm sharing my story, but the truth is, those are my riders. Like, we're great friends. But at that time, I put her in private school, and her dad was like, you don't want to go to private school. I didn't want to go to private school. You pay for it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had to figure out how to do it. Now, at that time, having my daughter taught me how to make me some money. It taught me how to make me some real money because it went from me just coasting, thinking I was the man working at PRC. I think they were probably paying me like $8 an hour or something like that, or maybe $9 an hour. And that was big money then. It was $9 an hour, and that was big money because I was on DirecTV, maybe even $10 an hour. Gina, comment on this when you see this. But anyway, I was making big money, and I had to figure out how to transition from there to make the money that I wanted to make to be able to give my daughter the lifestyle that I wanted to give her.
It's another person now.
It's another person.
Another human being that you got to take care of.
And a completely different. And what I did not realize or didn't think about when I was younger is when you make a decision to have a child, or you make a decision to choose a partner, you got to think beyond the now. You have to think beyond the now. That is one of my biggest blessings and lessons that I had to learn.
Now, when you say beyond the now, so when you give us what a person that's thinking in the now, break down what that looks like for them.
So thinking in the now is you having a good time, you having a hot, wild night in the bedroom, right? That's the now, right? So, or even in dating, it's we go out to eat every week, or, you know, he hold my hand, or he rub my booty and tell me I'm cute. You know what I mean? Things like that. I was going to say silly things like that, but things like that, we're just focused on the now without thinking about what type of father is this person going to be? Are we going to be a good parenting unit? How is this going to look? Do you already have children? What's the relationship you have with your family and your parents? All of these things matter.
Now, how did you develop those things? Those are that's like two different ways of thinking, right? And that's not something that come overnight. You know, it comes from experience, or it comes from how'd you develop that thought process?
I had to pull up. I had to realize what I wanted and what I didn't want, and how I wanted to raise my child. I had to pull up. People ask me that question all the time, like, how did you get like this? And partly, y'all know I always give a shout out to my team, my spirit team. Y'all been holding me down. Thank you. Right? So I appreciate you all, but I wanted more. I yearned for more. And it was just like, okay, I know that I want to be in a different environment. I know that I want, I don't want to keep having kids. I don't want to keep doing this by myself. You know, things like that. So I realized, and also, quite frankly, thinking about how I was raised in some respects, I didn't want to raise my kids like that. So when my daughter came to me and said, you know, I made it, I'm 19 and I didn't repeat the cycle, really and truly it's because we had a lot of conversations. We still have conversations. Hey, you got a boyfriend? You having sex? What you doing? How does that look? You need me to see something? What's going on down there? What's going on up here?
That's dope.
I didn't have that.
That's dope.
I didn't have that. And I knew that I had a choice to say, let me do what I saw, or let me do something different. And we're always faced with that choice. You know, think about the child who saw their father being an alcoholic growing up. And the parent has two sons. One son can choose to become an alcoholic like the daddy, or the other son can choose to say, I am never going to drink a day in my life. And so that's really how I parent my children. A lot of things that I do, and I share with them, I take the lessons that I have learned. And I'm going to be honest with you, Tavares, as I was coming up, even in my adult life, I was angry. I was like, why did this happen to me? Why didn't anybody teach me this? Why did I have to figure this out on my own? But let me tell you, when I flipped the switch, so I am so blessed that I had to grow through this. My life literally changed overnight because I had to sit down and realize that there was no way that I could resent the process that got me to where I am now. I mean, and I can say that because I have literally created a different life for myself. But if I was stuck on, why didn't y'all teach me this? Why didn't y'all show me this? Why this, and this? Why didn't you teach me this lesson? I would not be in the space that I'll see how much of a blessing it was, because I believe in it's certain stuff you learn in the struggle that let me say it this way. There are certain things that you're going to learn in the valley lows that the mountain tops will never teach you. There are certain things that you're going to learn in the struggle that you will never learn if you always been at the top. It teaches you so much stuff. So when I really had to sit with that and take that in, I'm like, okay, these lessons literally turned into my blessings. And so how did they turn into my blessings? Not only based on where I am now, because that's cool and dandy, but everything I do it for my children. So I am now so blessed that I can teach them, show them how to think, expose them, give them new ideas, give them the courage and the freedom to be themselves. You know what I mean? So I look at that and I'm like, you know what? I had to go through that. I just told my daughter that the other day. She's getting ready to enter her senior year. She's wrapping up her junior year of college. And I said, okay, all right, baby girl, we ain't had no college fund for you, right? So I went ahead and I
came out of pocket
for this, right? Although I really believe that college is a place for you if you need a specialized degree, meaning a doctor, an attorney, something like that. At this point in the game, if you don't have a specialized degree, you don't technically need to go to college. That's my perspective. Yours is yours. So my daughter started college since her intention was going to be a doctor. She changed it because she doesn't believe in a lot of that stuff. We don't live our life that way. And so she said, well, mommy, I'm going to be a doctor and then just put a holistic spin on it. And I said, well, baby, you don't got to go through medical school and undergrad and all that to do that. I mean, you can do that. You can go take, certain courses. Right. But she was already engulfed in a college experience and she loves it. And I didn't have that experience because I had her at 19. I mean, I literally was taking her to class with me. So, okay, you're a good kid, this and this, no problem. I'll keep coming out of pocket. So now we're rounding out our junior year and I'm looking at my payroll and I'm like, what we gonna do? You almost off my payroll. Like, what's what? So we had a conversation. I sat down with her and I said, what's up? So she changed her major. And when she changed her major, like I said, I let her stay. No problem. I'll keep cutting the check. So, I said, what are we going to do? I said, because you have a year left. And what I don't want you to do is to graduate from college, have a degree and just say, okay, I got my degree and I'm here. Right. I said, and a lot of people do that. But I went through what I went through, so that doesn't have to be your testimony. Yeah. I said a lot of people, they get their degree and they say, I have a degree and I have all this student loan debt, or I have these bills I got to pay because my mama and daddy and sister, cousin, auntie, brother, uncle kicked me out of the house because I'm grown now. And they said, we want our space and you got to go. So now you have a degree. You don't really have the experience, or maybe you have a degree and you are applying at positions that you believe you're underpaid for. And you enter the work field struggling. You're struggling because you got this debt, and you're struggling because you have these overhead expenses. And then you just fall into that cycle. Yeah. And I sat her down. I said, Platinum, that ain't your testimony. And I said, let me explain that to you, because for a lot of people, that's their testimony. So I know you don't know because you only know what you see, just like you shared your example about football. Right. You knew rappers, athletes, and drug dealers. That's how you get rich. That's what you saw. Yeah. And I know that she's been exposed to certain things. This is what you see. But outside of our household and our environment, it's a little bit different. Since we know it's a little bit different, let me tell you what I want you to do. I want you to start thinking about really, and so we talked about really what it is that she wants to do. She's a level of people. She wants to help people, inspire people, encourage people. I said, you are my child. We connected. I got you. In the meantime, you need to be applying for jobs. You need to be looking at internships. You need to be seeing if you want to go live in the south of France, if you want to go live in Kenya, where do you want to go for 6 months out of the year to get some experience? What do you want to do? What experience? I said, because you may think that you want to work in occupational therapy because you want to help people, but you may get in an occupational therapist office and realize, oh, this ain't what I had in mind. Oh, y'all talk to the patients like this. You treat the patients like this. It's really just about billing the insurance. Oh, no, I don't want to do this. I said, but the beautiful thing is you don't have nobody children and you don't have any overhead expenses so that you don't have to stay at a place where you don't like. So my lessons turned into her blessing. And I said, I got to be clear with you, daughter, and explain to you the blessed position that you're in. Within the next 90 days, I need to know what internships, what jobs you have, what you've explored, because you literally now, between now and the time you graduate from college, you can dibble and dabble here, dibble and dabble there, do this and this. The only rules are don't have no babies and don't get on drugs. That's it. Because if you have babies, I'm going to tell you how, like I did, I took care of you. You're going to take care of your child. I'm not taking care of your child. I'm telling you that. And when I look at that, when I look at everything that I went through, because, you know, I had Kyla, I turned 19 August 7th, and then she was born August 31st. So I was real inexperienced. I mean, the baby had colic and I was under my bed. I left her on the bed and got under my bed. She in the fetal position and I'm in the fetal position. And I know, you know what colic is? Colic is when they just won't stop crying. They won't stop crying. And I'm 19 and she would not stop crying. And I will never, ever forget. She would not stop crying. And my mother was like, my name Bennett, I ain't in it. So I'm like, I'm seeking help. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. And no. And at that moment, I knew that I had some woman up.
And that's a super dope. Thanks for telling that story. Because one, I know you're a private person.
Very.
Super private person. I didn't even know that part about you. Well, I knew pieces of it, not all of that, right? So it seems like, because the reason why I thank you for having that story or telling that story is because lots of our communities produce parents at a young age. You know what I'm saying? That's known. But you can either be a victim to your circumstance or you can, you know, and you can say, you know what, man, my child, I shouldn't have had this baby. You can cry about it, you can moan about it, but guess what? The baby already out. You know what I'm saying? The toothpaste is already out of the tube. You can't put it back in there. What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? And you use that, you know, early parenthood, you know, to motivate you. You know what I'm saying? It put fire under your butt and you was like, man, listen, I got to go ahead and get it. Or I got to make some changes. Or, you know, I'm making, you know, $8, $9, $10 an hour and it was cool before, you know, but you didn't get comfortable there. You know what I'm saying? Even though you bought in, your circumstance changed and your mentality changed with your circumstance. And a lot of times our circumstance would change, but our actions, our mentality stay exactly the same. And guess what? Our circumstance, it fully consumes us when we don't change our mindset and our actions. So you were able to consume the situation because you thought bigger. You thought bigger than what was going on with you at the time. You know, so
it was a challenge.
It always is. It always is. But guess what? I think me and Antonio, we spoke about this the other day on the show, right? Now, when there's it's always going to be a challenge to get to the other side, right? So let's say if you walking up a bridge. Now, when you going up that bridge or you walking up that hill, you like, man, I'm about to turn around and go back the other way, you know. But when you going up, because it's an incline, you know what I'm saying? So your legs working a lot harder, your body feel a lot heavier due to gravity and stuff like that. But lo and behold, when you get to the other side, oh my God, you flowing down. You get what I'm saying? So it's going to be a challenge. In the beginning, it's always gonna be a challenge. And if you wanna elevate, if you want increase, if you want advancement, it's always gonna be a challenge. You know what I'm saying? If it came easy, then everybody would be blessed. Everybody would be successful. Everybody would be shining. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So you got to go through that to get to the other side.
It's true.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it is. And I'm seeing that now. Yeah. So I'm able to see that now as I look at my children, look at my daughter, and look at just my experiences and their experience. I'm like, okay, it was worth it.
Yeah.
You know, but I talk to everybody I know. Listen, if you could do it differently, do it differently. You don't have to do what I did. Do it differently, because there was a blessing in my lesson. But some lessons, see, that's the thing. And especially about our community. I don't know about anybody else's community. But in our community, we have this thing that we like to say, well, I did it that way. You got to do it that way too. I went through it. You got to go through it. No. Let me pay my dues and earn my stripes with some new stuff. I don't want to have to do the same thing you did just because you did it.
Yeah, I call it taking the bullets for the ones behind me, so they don't have to take those bullets. They don't have to take those same bullets. You know what I'm saying? And sorry to be so graphic, but that's just how That's how I explain things. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that's really important for your overall lineage. You know what I'm saying? And it's deeper than just money. You know what I'm saying? If you can pass down a whole new way of thinking, or if you can, help somebody. It's like if you see somebody texting, they're on the sidewalk walking and they texting at the same time, and you see they're about to walk into a pole. Are you gonna sit back and just let them walk into the pole, just watch them, or pull your phone out and record? Hey man, he about to run into this pole, and I'm gonna get it on live or whatever.
Or you gonna be like, come on.
Or you could be like, hey man, watch your step, or hey, watch that pole. And it's the same thing with parenting. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, a lot of times people will say, well, I ain't had no help, so I ain't gonna help you.
That's right.
That's equivalent to watching that person walk into the pole.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And how does that benefit you, or how does that benefit your child? Because your child is a spinoff of you. They're a representation of you. So if your child out here failing, guess what? You look like a failure too. You know what I'm saying? So you might want to change that mentality.
You got to change it. And you know what? Another lesson and blessing I have to realize as I'm listening to you speak, when I was gaudy, all I was doing is, I thought all being a parent was buying clothes. I would go buy Pampers and stuff like that. I was spending all my little money, jewelry, everything. I thought that buying the material things, because you said it's deeper than money. That's what triggered this thought. I thought that doing that, I was Gaudy of the year. When it came time for me to be a parent, I had to realize, because at first with my daughter, now I'm an adventure for her. Now she tied me down. Now she, And you know what? To be honest with you, when she was in private school, I remember buying her some Scottie Pippens, and she would not. Right, I loved them too. Yeah. I'm putting my views and my mentalities on her. I'm like, okay, my baby, she got the uniform on. She got all this. I bought her some Scottie Pippens and some Jordans to match her uniform, some plaid skirt and everything, barrettes everywhere, right? And so this is the mindset that I had. And she refused to wear the Scottie Pippens. And I was like,
you gonna wear these shoes?
What? Oh, you know what? I'm like, okay, all right. So let me take the Scottie Pippens back. Now let's try the Jordans. She refused to wear the Jordans.
That's a blessing in disguise.
Let me tell you, it was a blessing in disguise. She said, Mommy, I don't want to wear those shoes. I don't like those shoes, those boy shoes, this and this and this. And here I was thinking, being a parent, I'm going to keep you fresh to death. I'm going to keep you fly. I'm going to do all this. And now I'm Mommy of the Year. When she took that off the table.
Oh, my God.
I was like, let me shift my focus. Kind of like with your private school when they said, no, we taking uniforms and all this off the table. Now you got to focus on your work. Let me shift my focus. And I need to focus on how to be a parent. And so I realize, and I tell people all the time now, being a parent goes beyond dressing your child, feeding your child, and clothing your child. Just because you clothe your child and feed your child, I keep a roof over your head and I provide you 3 square meals a day, that does not make you a parent. The role of a parent is a guide, is a teacher. And so once I realized that, and Platinum helped me take that off to, take the foolishness off the table and hone in. Then I was like, okay, well, let's get down to dirty then. Then let me really be a parent, because I can't just dress you up and play dolly. You ain't into that.
That's super dope. Wow.
And that helped me. That carried me through the years, because baby, listen, I ain't had to buy a Jordan since.
That's super dope, because I don't want to say the baby name, but Platinum, right? And her mindset, and shout out to her for not being a follower, because when you see a lot of, especially at that age, where you're so impressionable and you see the other kids, you want everything that everybody else have, and she had her own mindset. And shout out to you for listening to your child and being open-minded to say, okay, if you don't like it, I ain't gonna force it on you. Because a lot of times, especially coming from where we from, your parents tend to force their thought process on you instead of letting you have and be your own person. You know what I'm saying? So that's super dope, man.
Yeah, that's why I say our children can be our greatest teachers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They teach us stuff. They're mirrors. They reflect stuff that we need to evaluate. She's saying this now, like you said, I could have had an opportunity. I could have taken that moment to force my ways and my wants and my likes on her, or I could have learned that lesson. Right. And I was like, okay, I'm going to learn this lesson and save them coins. Because after that, baby, it was Reebok. They was $20. And then in high school and middle school, she was wearing Converse. Those were $30. I never had to buy a $100 pair of shoes. So, so those are my lessons turned blessings. And it is my sincere hope, goal, and wish for my children to continue to take the lessons that I teach them and apply them and turn them into blessings in their life down the line. Mm-hmm. And for all of you who are out there listening, we hope and we wish that you listen to us today. You in some part of our story impacted you. It triggered something. It made you jog your memory and go back and connect the dots and say, you know what? Maybe that was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, and that was the whole purpose of this conversation, right? To also, to show you guys another layer of ourselves, mm-hmm. and also to help you sit back and think about, your life and mm-hmm. reflect on your life and what took place with you in the past and how you plan to move forward. And also, it's good to know the difference between, destiny and determination. Mm. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we don't want you to get so gun-ho on what you want in life, because it really ain't, you don't really have the final say so. I ain't gonna say it's not about you. It is about you, mm-hmm. but you don't have the final say so. Mm.
You got to give it room to unfold.
Yeah.
Give it room for the magic to happen, right? Yeah. So you got to know, make a decision, have an idea of how you want things, take that action, but understand as you're taking that action, there may be a secret trap door you don't even know nothing about. Yeah. But if you're like, nope, I study this route and this is the route that's going to get me to where I got to go. And I got to stay on this route. You can miss the trap door that's going to take you light years ahead of to where you want to be. So you got to have determination, but don't let it deter you from your destiny. Stay open on your journey and in your path. And that includes your money. Everything we're telling you now, it can be applied to your money and your finances, because really finances and money is the result. Yeah. It's the result of the decisions you make. It's the results of the action that you take. It's the result of the people that you inspire. It's the result of the people that you serve. So if you look at your money and it's looking kind of funny, you got to go back and look at them actions. Mm-hmm. And when you look at them actions, you got to be like, how did I get here? Mm-hmm. What happened? Mm-hmm. What did I do? What do I need to dissect? Let me pull this puzzle apart, as Tavares likes to say, and let me put it back together so I can understand every working piece and how it's all connected.
Mm-hmm. And actions are led by your thoughts. So mm-hmm. when you think about or try to retrace your action steps, you also got to think about what frame of mind was I in and what thought process triggered that action. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Or what would be a better thought process that's going to give me a better action. Yes. And better action is going to give you better results. Yes. So you kind of got to take it all the way back before you can go forward. Yeah. And that's what it's about.
I love that, T. Your actions are going to be determined by the thought process that you were in when you took those actions, right? I love that you making the connection, because if you have of one frame of mind, you might take a completely different action depending on if you're in a different frame of mind, if you hurt, if you angry, if you're fearful. Mm-hmm. And those are the thoughts that you're having. Your actions are going to be reflective of the thoughts that you're having. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that to the show today.
Amen. That's what I'm here for.
That's what you're here for. You do it well. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. You have been watching the American Cream Show, where we show you, teach you, lead you how to redefine the American dream with Cream. And Cream stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. If you would like to speak to us one-on-one, give us a call at 305-825-1444. We will see you next week for another pre-recorded show. I am your host, Hyacinth Henderson, and he is your host,
Tavares Jones. Learn yourself, love yourself, lead yourself.
Peace.